Ben Dominic, he's Meghan McCain's husband, right? Isn't he?
Yes, that is correct.
I feel like they really hide that fact when she's on The View that she's related to, or that her husband is the head of.
Well, he had a big plagiarism scandal, so she might want to try and avoid that. And now
has she talked about plagiarism with Biden on the show?
I'm not quite sure.
That would be fun.
That would be a weird thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, here is Ben Dominic hypothesizing that we. This is impressive in its complete lack of historical understanding of the Cold War.
The enemy had the bomb. Americans were afraid of a nuclear holocaust. But JFK understood America needed this win. For a president to give such a speech today, every turn would emphasize the needs of a particular constituency, assuring people that the contractor jobs building rockets would be good-paying union jobs, that hiring would be done based on historical equity, not racist math, and that, of course, we'll get all the necessary permissions from the United Nations, the EU, and the WHO about the health and environmental ramifications of rocket fumes. And, of course, the speech would be picked apart as sacrificing science on the altar of Cold War political victories. The press would denounce it. Why not spend that money on the ground, on people who need it, instead of some far-fetched vision of putting a man on the moon? They'd call it propaganda instead of idealism. And they'd probably be quoting anonymous sources from inside NASA, disputing the president's aim as foolhardy.
First off, talk about a guy who got the job because of his relationships. Man, that is really that's the longest minute I've ever been watching.
What are you talking about? He just oozes charisma. Don't you love how his voice inflection never changes?
First off, the reason why they didn't talk about those being good union jobs was because they were good union jobs. They were union jobs. A. B. One of the driving factors of things like the Voting Rights Act, things like the war on poverty, things like the Civil Rights Act was in fact the Cold War, was the idea that we needed to show to the international community that in fact we actually upheld those aspirations that we articulated about ourselves. That was a big driving force within the context of our politics for that. We were also internationalist at the time. Everything he's saying is completely ahistorical. And in fact, there were people who were saying, why are we spending all this money on going to...
Including JFK himself. There's a JFK tape where he's talking to NASA. He's like, I don't care that much about space. We need to make sure that this is actually providing something for us. So that's a fun tape actually to watch because he gets upset at NASA. He's like, I don't care that much about space.
Well, I mean, Republicans cut NASA funding all the time. Like Trump cut NASA funding, or was going to cut NASA funding in 2019. It's like slashed the budget to like the lowest it'd been in a while. It's like it was 0.45% of the national budget. It just so happened that in 2020, the whole Space Force stuff started taking off, and he started pumping more money into NASA. But Republicans are notorious for cutting like NASA funding.
Or any research that is like, just knowledge, pursuit of knowledge. Even research that has like, a one step removed application gets slammed by them. Are we really studying the mating habits of this near extinct animal? I mean, come on, give me a break. It's, whatever. They love to talk about how great JFK was.
Well.
All right, let's do
one.
They
just like his aesthetics. They have zero interest in like the political context of the time.
Well, yeah, they have no interest in the science of it, which is the funny part of it. Like the only science Republicans are interested in are in race science, and so the actual scientific advancements and like the patents and sort of like the public good that came out of the space program that is unrelated to getting to Mars or getting to the moon and like winning the Cold War just escapes them. Like, the revolutionary science that included like tinfoil and how that changed people's lives. They don't know anything about that. They just think of it like a big sort of like, hate to say it, dick measuring contest with the USSR. So, in reality, like if they could have like the imperial aspect of NASA without the science stuff, that's what they'd want. And that's what the Space Force is basically for, that continued kind of space imperialism without any of the climate change research.
Exactly. Let's just show up. Let's whip out a new insignia and a nice uniform, and then boom, we're 3/4 of the way there.
NASA's too nerdy. NASA's too nerdy. We got to have something a little bit more military.
A conquering space force.
Not even a new insignia either. It was basically just the Star Trek's logo repurposed.
I know. I mean, I pray that there are not aliens, because like there's going to be a massive push by the Republicans for the Space Force to commit genocide and colonize them.